as we are taping this, but if you're not watching this live, definitely run it back. This is Stoppage Time FC. Remember, Scene is the family. Stoppage Time is the Facebook group. We got Joe, we got Wes, host of the Blue versus Blue podcast. Make sure you're checking that out on our YouTube page as well. We got LFC Trav. We're going to have him chime in here in a few. January transfer window is now up, and we are now officially into the second half of the season. So, fellas, just kind of quickly with each of your clubs, how you feel about your window, how you feel about your prospects as we now enter officially into the 2022 part of the season.
Well, we did our first big bit of business with Barcelona a couple weeks ago, where we let Ferran Torres go for about 55 mil back to his homeland in Spain. But we did finally sign a striker. So all those people who like to bang on City for not having a designated striker, y'all can go away now for a while. I'm not trying to hear it no more, because we signed Julian Alvarez, freshly 22-year-old striker from Argentina. Very similar demeanor, size, play style as one Sergio Aguero from the same country that used to play for us. So very excited to see what he's going to bring to the club. He's going to stay at his home club back in Argentina up until July. So we won't get to see him in the sky blue for a little while. But from all things that I have seen and read, he is a talented young player. And switching out Torres for 55 million and signing Julian Alvarez for 17, who fits a little bit more for what we want out of a forward, that's a win right there for Man City. So I'm very pleased with our deadline deals. We had a couple smaller ones where guys from the academy and younger players kind of secured a permanent move elsewhere. Nothing to note there, but pretty solid window for City, even though they only really did two big deals. Zachary?
There's not a lot to talk about on my end. We were about as quiet as could be. We sold Lewis Baker, who might go down as being the only player to go 9 years in between starts for his club.
9 years.
He made his debut for Chelsea under Jose Mourinho, and then proceeded to go on loan after loan after loan. And just a couple of weeks before the winter window opened, Tuchel gave him another start in the EFL Cup, and then we promptly allowed him to pursue a career elsewhere and get a little bit of consistency in his life. And I know the Chelsea faithful always have liked Lewis, and so we wish him the best. Other than that, it's been a whole lot of nothing. I can promise you that Olympique Lyon will never get another Chelsea player ever again after the Emerson debacle. Mm-hmm. They straight out refused to allow us to recall him on loan, even after Chelsea offered them 4 million euros to just say, hey, can we have our player back? And Leon's like, nah, we're good. So they definitely burned that bridge there. And then just yesterday, Chelsea signed a very, very young, prominent striker. Let me look up his name so I don't butcher it. Really, really young. He's playing in League Two. We turned around and loaned him back.
Standard protocol with a lot of younger players.
Yeah, Mason Burstow. He plays for Charlton Athletic right now. He's like 16 or 17, and he's already made 7 or 8 first-team appearances for Charlton, which is pretty good considering his age and whatnot. So other than that, that's about Chelsea's winter window in a nutshell. Didn't sign a wing back like we needed to. We recalled Kennedy from Flamengo in Brazil to I guess be that backup wing back. Other than that, I got a whole lot of nothing.
Quiet.
How about
on
Arsenal
the,
though? Tell
Hey,
me
let's
about
go
Arsenal's
Arsenal.
window.
We signed 2 players who are not going to come to the club until the summer at positions we didn't really need. Center back and keeper. And they're both from the MLS. One of them is from Stan Kroenke's Colorado MLS team. So, but we did offload 6 players. So we offloaded 6. We brought in 2 and not coming into the summer. And now we pretty much have a squad of about 17 players right now. 17 senior players. So the thought process, just trying to get into this board's head, which is impossible, is we're out of both cup competitions. We don't have Europe. So we only have 17 league matches left. So I think they saved the money because the Aubameyang going to Barcelona saves us $25 million. Or 25 million euros, whatever it takes, 25 million. So they're just gonna save the money and just hope and pray no one gets hurt, no one catches COVID, or that Granit Xhaka doesn't kick anybody in the chest within the next 2 weeks.
Speaking of which, we got to talk about Xhaka.
So it's tight. So our medical team better be a lot of stretching, a lot of massages, a lot of care going because we are pretty much we are pretty much going to have to play 17 guys the rest of the season. So whoever starts, the starters and the bench versus Wolves on February 10th is what you're going to see the last 3 months of the season. There is nothing else. There is no other play. There is nothing else coming. Well, nothing else came.
This is true. Trav's Liverpool splashed a little bit of cash. Splashed a little cash this January.
I mean, besides what's that? Luis Diaz. That's his name.
Yep.
Yeah. That's the only thing that I have seen. I mean, I don't know what's up with me and my teams. Basketball, now it's soccer. We got too many wings, man. We got too many of the same players, and we need one of them. I mean, we got one, but we need to get his contract right. We can't let him stay on this last leg of his contract. But I mean, we'll see, man. I mean, we got a match coming up with Chelsea coming up real soon, so we got to get that back. We can't be tying with them anymore. So I mean, we'll see.
There will be no ties in that match. I promise you that. Because that one's gonna go till someone's crowned a winner. Because that's the EFL Cup final.
Right.
Yeah. I think, fellas, the January window, I know there's the usual cliche that's a tough window to do business, et cetera, et cetera. I just don't think, especially this season with the injuries, with COVID, AFCON, I just don't think many teams were like willing to really do that much selling because you need players, you need bodies. Like even my team, the guys that we sold are not like important, but we need depth. We needed people like you need to play this week because so I think that was a lot of clubs this window.
Now here's the ironic thing. This winter window was the highest net spending that the Premier League has ever had in a winter window. 290 million pounds were spent in this winter window, and over 50% of the spending was done by teams in the bottom 5 spots of the standings.
I'd say probably about a third of that was from Newcastle because I know they spent
I
over
was
$100
I was
million.
about to say that probably 80% of that 50% was probably from Newcastle.
They spent about 113 million, I think, on 4 players
Mm-hmm.
through
Trying to
January. So they
Right.
they had to do that because you cannot have that ownership playing in the championship.
If I have to see another Norwich and Fulham, relegation promotion, I might scream. I might scream.
Norwich just know they just come to the Premiership, get the check, go back down,
do it all over again.
Get the parachutes, just do it all over again.
It's literally the definition of insanity.
Yup.
So there was the one big signing we talked about. We're not gonna try to pronounce that man's name because I'm going to
Dusan Vlahovic.
Dusan Vlahovic
That one.
going from Fiorentina to Juventus. Zach, you want to talk about this one specifically because there was some little bit of controversy behind this.
Yeah. So as I posted yesterday, the Vlahovic transfer is the third highest winter transfer as far as money goes in the history of the winter window. So it came in at about 82 million euros, which is 3 million shy of what Virgil van Dijk was signed for from Southampton to Liverpool, and 130 million or something along those lines. 130 million less than. No, I'm sorry. It would have been 70 million. 70 million less than what Liverpool sold Coutinho to Barcelona, because he came in at rated about 150 million euros. Regardless, Fiorentina came out today and they basically said that Vlahovic is a snake and that he did nothing but lie and push his way out of the club. He basically forced their hand as far as options. Apparently they had some more options for higher amounts of money that Vlahovic basically told him to kick rocks. He's not going there. And he was allegedly trying to force his hand to leave in the summer for free. Now, obviously that didn't happen, and he's now at Juve. But it's interesting, and I know this garners a heavy debate between what players' rights are as far as transfers go. On one hand, you have the people who are like, yeah, good for him, stand up for yourself, do what you think is best in your career and your livelihood. On the other hand, you have people like, well, you're the dummy that signed the contract to begin with. If you didn't like the terms that you agreed to, well, that's your own fault. Maybe you should get better management. So it's definitely an interesting take. I'm curious to see what your guys' thoughts are on it.
I'm all for player rights and taking control over where they would like to go, because most of the time they don't really have a lot of say, and the clubs oftentimes obviously need to look out for themselves, and I understand that because that's what they need to do. But I also don't fault a player for doing exactly what the club is trying to do, which is to get the best deal for themselves. So it's quite hypocritical to me for the club to come out and bang on the kid when he's doing exactly what they're trying to do, which is to get the best option for themselves. And in that quote I saw that you posted, I think they likened it to Mbappe, which we will talk about probably coming up next, where Mbappe was trying to force his way out for free to the club of his choice. And I just don't think that's true, because Mbappe brought numerous offers from Real Madrid, and Real Madrid brought plenty of choices trying to get them a very large sum of money. So I don't think it's an apples to apples comparison like the club is trying to make it out to be. Like Vlahovic is just trying to get himself a free move and make himself the most money. And when you liken it to Mbappe, when there was a $220 million at least offer on the table from Real Madrid for you. That's just not a very good comparison. It kind of comes off as sour grapes to me that they didn't get the deal that they wanted, and he got what he wanted, which was to go to Juve, because it seemed like he really wanted to go to that club, and I can't really fault the guy for that. And Fiorentina has sold over like $150 million worth of players to Juve, so let's not act like they are,
right,
making out poorly in this situation. They're making all kinds of money off these players where they didn't really spend hardly any on Chiesa and Vlahovic. So
They didn't
Ronnie,
spend any money on Chiesa and
yeah,
Vlahovic.
it was like a $3 million, I think.
Mm-hmm. Their net profit percentage wise is like, it's got to be like 3,000-4,000% off of I think they've sold like six or seven players from Fiorentina to Juve, including Bonucci and Chiesa and the other ones are drawing a blank right now. I posted the meme the other day.
Yeah.
But it's literally the same thing that we always talk about with Bayern. This is every other Bundesliga team selling to Bayern to strengthen their team. It's the same thing. Fiorentina are just doing it to Juve. So I definitely get the sour grapes feeling. I'm not as inclined to support the player as you are, just because I tend to take a more business-like approach to it. I definitely think that franchises and organizations definitely push their boundaries a little bit further than what they should, and they do take advantage of players far too often. And I think the good example is, look at college. College football, for example. Until the NIL rights became a thing, they just used and abused, basically their players for their own profit. I don't think that's any different in soccer. Just a little bit more profitable for the player. So I definitely get both sides. Ronnie, what about you, man? I'm curious to your take.
I think you're seeing a change in the business, and that players now realize the power that American athletes have had forever, and that's free agency. So in football, a great player never gets to free agency. Almost never. So only your bench players are out of contract. I think what's happening now is it kind of been a change in the shift of players. They're like, wait, rather than deal with the hassle, which it is, of getting transferred, asking for a move, the negotiation, I can just ride out my contract until I'm free. Then I can get the crazy signing bonus. I don't have to deal with the hassle of negotiation. So, like this summer, they had a list of this summer 22 is going to be like the biggest summer in the history of football as far as free agents. Like, it's not like third string goalkeeper dude as a free agent. There's like ballers who are going to be out of contract come July 1st, which is completely different model to how soccer has run literally for 100 years. So for someone like Deuce or Paul Pogba or Kylian Mbappe, who are really talented, in the old days of soccer, you could just say, well, you're on your last 6 months of contract. You'll just sit on the bench until you become a free agent. Now it's like, he's too good to just sit there. We kind of have to play him. Arsenal, we're in that situation with, he's not a star player, but basically the last remaining striker on our team, Alexander Lacazette, has 6 months left. But now that Aubameyang is going to Barcelona, Lacazette's going to have to play. 5 years ago, you get to the last 6 months of your contract, we just throw you on the bench for 6 months. So I think these clubs are going to now have to figure out how can we get these players to not just ride these contracts out to free agency? Because I don't know who the American influence with soccer players, but somebody has figured out that free agency is now what you actually want to do, which is something that almost never happened until like recently.
My last thought on that one is just what is the benefit for the club to come out and kind of bang on your former player? Like, how does that help you going forward to pretty much just trash on the kid? It's just not a good look. It's just not a good look.
Oh, I agree, but it absolves them of their supposed wrongdoing. You know, if they can pose themselves as the victim here, then they are no longer the ones who caused this issue, and it helps them in the events of, like, I mean, let's look at Romelu Lukaku, for example. You know, Inter made their position very, very clear that they wanted to keep him and that he was the one pushing for the deal. And truthfully, without Inter saying all those things about Lukaku, I don't know if the Inter fans go as hard on him as they did. So I think that's probably where they're coming from, is to take the easy way out and kind of save face when they're just as snaky and greasy as you know the player is in that situation.
Can't stand the hypocrisy, bro.
Yeah, man,
that shit drives me nuts.
That is organized sports in a nutshell, man.
For sure. Then the other big one that I referenced was Mr. Kylian Mbappe. There are contract details coming out for his deal with Real Madrid. Is it official, or is this just people's?
So it's not but for our people, like, you know, our newly initiated folks, this is why this is a big deal. In soccer, when you get to the last 6 months of your contract, you can agree to a contract with another team before your 6 months is up. So, as Joe's talking about, Real Madrid basically can tell Kylian Mbappe, yeah, this is how much we're going to pay you. Here are your bonuses. We can even tell you what jersey number you're going to wear in 6 months. Is that real? So, the number I saw, you know, I saw 440 a week. I saw as high as 510. So whatever the number is, it's an incredible amount of money.
It's 50 million a year.
Okay,
which
so
I think would be the highest contract in all of sports, not just soccer. I think if my memory serves me correct, even like those mega contracts in baseball aren't up to that. Not 5
per year. Yeah, per year wise, because in baseball they got those like 10-year deals and whatnot. So it's the per year value goes down.
I heard it's a 5-year, 5-year, $250 million deal or something. I'm sorry, 250 million euros. It's something absurd. Like, he makes £9 or €9 a second.
It's here, I got it up here right now. It's 50 million euros a year, which works out to 961,000 euros a week. Almost $6,000 an hour.
That's ridiculous.
About 100 euros a minute. This dude will be making when he gets to Real Madrid.
Put that man on a retainer.
That, like, insane. Almost $1 million a week.
And this is kind of where we're segueing with this with free agency, is that, you know, teams are so used to paying. Let's take Antonio Rudiger for an example. He's another good one. He has not pre-agreed to a contract, but he wants 400,000 pounds or euros a week. Chelsea are like, we'll give you 250 and you're going to take it and you're going to like it, kind of deal. Whereas like Real Madrid, they can not offer him 400,000 a week, but the way that they can structure the deal is different because they can pay him a sign-on bonus. Just like any other, contract in sports, you can get a signing bonus. And when you break in that signing bonus plus what they have him on a weekly wage, it would get him close to that 400,000 pounds a week. Now, the reason they could pay him such a high sign-on bonus, and I'm sure Kylian Mbappe's contract is very similar in this. His actual weekly figure is probably like 250, but his sign-on bonus is probably every bit of 150, 160 million, But that's because they don't have to turn around and pay PSG or whoever signs Rudiger if he doesn't stay, doesn't have to pay Chelsea, 80 million for the transfer fee. They just take that money that they were going to pay the club and just pay it to the player. And this is what Ronnie was talking about. And this is why you're seeing so many players be like, I'll write out this contract. Just wait, because you're going to lose me and you're not going to get anything for it because you neglected to pay me. And this, Trav, check your headphones. This is what Liverpool is going to run into here in about 6 months if they don't start getting real serious about, Mo Salah and his future. And it's not going to be pretty. You can sign all the wingers you want. They are not Mo Salah.
No.
I'm telling you, man. We got to do something about dude, man. We got to get something going, man. Because, like I said in a couple of shows ago, man, where we missing another guy to help like him. All the other good teams, they got guys like him, man. We need to get him taken care of, and we need one more dynamic striker. Like we need one of them. So hopefully we get it taken care of, and we don't have to run into these free agent problems. So
yeah.
Still don't understand that transfer strategy.
It's absurd to me. Before we get to the serious portion of this talk, which cannot be ignored, Ronnie, I need you to come back on camera because I got a question for you.
Okay.
Have you seen the recent rumor with your boy Granit Xhaka?
Well, which day of the week it is? Because
that's fair.
It was some funny betting thing that on him getting red cards. So that was last week. Is there something different? Or was this the one?
Well, so I saw the official statement coming out from the betting organizations, and now they've involved the FA. And it wasn't red cards; it was a yellow. Mm-hmm. Apparently, they have like we have prop betting here in the States. They kind of have prop betting. They call it like position betting or something like that. But essentially, they can take a spontaneous kind of, hey, this person will do such and such at this amount of time between these days or whatever, and you can win. So the most recent one that is physically getting investigated is there was an obscene amount of money placed on Granit Xhaka getting a yellow card between X amount of days. Well, I don't know if you remember this game, and I don't know who it was against, but you guys were up 4-1. There was 8 minutes left in the match. You had a free kick in your own half. And Xhaka had plenty of outlets to pass the ball, especially given that you guys were up 3 goals. And he time wasted enough that the ref carded him a yellow, which in turn paid out all of those bettors. So, and it's the coincidences
that's my guy.
are lining up. And I'm just like, is Xhaka really that guy? Is he just to that point in his career where he's like,
yeah, he's Xhaka. He is the most. Not even the most. Anytime you hear Mikel Arteta talk about non-negotiables, right? Every time he talks about that, I just look at Granit Xhaka and say, really? You have this incident with these yellow cards. Granit Xhaka has been sent off of games 3 times in less than 2 seasons. He has the most errors leading to goals of any midfielder in the Premier League in the last 4 years. So this doesn't, if there's ever going to be somebody who would be involved in this, it'd be him. It'd be him. If you say pick the player in the world who would do this, him. Because one, he's gonna get a yellow card because that's just what he does in general. So yeah, I'm not surprised it's him. He's the most annoying player. In my time as an Arsenal fan, he's the most annoying. He's the most.
Wow. That's saying a lot, man. I get you think about the amount of players that, let's not talk about City because they don't have the turnover that clubs like Arsenal and Chelsea and that do. The amount of players that go in and out over the course of years, and this is something that if you didn't catch Blue versus Blue, it bothers me a lot with Chelsea is that the one thing that City has that Chelsea does not is they have an identity. And Chelsea doesn't have an identity because they don't have a damn manager long enough to establish one. So with that being said, the players coming in and out and in and out and in and out, for you to sit here and tell me that this is the most annoying player in the history of you being a fan, that tells me everything I need to know about Granit Xhaka.
Let me tell you, first of all, you should all fans go back, run back to Blue versus Blue podcast, the most annoying players for Chelsea and Man City, add your club's most annoying.
Mm-hmm.
To the comments to put my 3. I really couldn't think of a second and third. He's by himself. He is in a whole class of annoying all to himself.
I instantly had a flashback of Dave Chappelle. Name the 5 greatest rappers of all time.
Oh yeah. Who are the
Xhaka,
because he gets red cards. Listen, yeah, this is the story is ludicrous, but the person involved in the story, that's very believable. Very believable.
That's disappointing, man. That's just, I don't even know what to say.
Fellas in the YouTube comments, Jorge's up there. Alex, our boy from out in Texas with the Bear of Texas and his podcast that he got going on. Cat 5 is over there. Mr. Victor Coco is out there. We see you too, buddy, and someone we haven't seen too often come through, Kyle. Yeah.
It's my buddy Kyle.
I love his last name. That's my I got cousins with that last name, so it always brings back good memories when I see Kyle pop up. Appreciate y'all for rocking with us tonight.
All right, so let's end the show on a not so good note.
Mm-hmm.
Greenwood. The story broke like Sunday. In fact, when I was going grocery shopping on Sunday for the football game, the Mason Greenwood story broke. And we've had athletes involved in domestic disputes before, domestic violence. And not to compare one trauma versus another, but this was as ugly and disturbing as you'll see. And here, that's, I think, what really took it over the top. Is one thing to see the injuries, which are horrific, but to actually hear it happen, it was disgusting. And obviously, there's an investigation that's going to happen. He's had pretty much all of his major sponsorship deals pulled. United have pulled all his merchandise off of the site. So you cannot go on a Manchester United site and find Mason Greenwood jerseys.
You can't even customize a jersey with his name.
Yeah.
If I saw, and it was true, I haven't been on FIFA in a bit. I heard that he's out of the video game as well.
Yeah.
They've taken him off.
I heard that as well.
Off of the video game too.
And
he's out of there.
So fellas, I mean, it's just sad and ugly a thing as I've seen, and to hear it was just
It just when I was listening to that, it tore me up inside, and it was just so cringeworthy because like you said, we've seen video or the pictures before, but this is kind of the first time for me, like listening to something like that going down, and then you see the photos afterwards, and it was just so disgusting to listen to. And as a father of two young girls, like it just infuriates me. And when as a City fan, we kind of had this situation pop up in the summertime with Benjamin Mendy as well, and City took the same route as United did with suspending the player immediately and removing all of their likenesses off of things and everything. So unfortunately, both clubs have players who have chosen to do these kind of things, and it's terrible. There's really no other way to describe it. And then, like you mentioned, that just the audio is. If you haven't listened to it, please don't. Like it's not.
Yes. It's
not worth your time, your emotions to go through that. Trust us, that is not something that you need to hear.
And that's, the thing that my issue is that both Manchester clubs right now have really let me down. And I know Joe echoed this same statement. Alleged or not, found guilty or not, Mendy's situation is a little bit different in my eyes because, as far as I know, there's been no physical proof proving it. It's just been, claims against him. Doesn't make it any better because it's still deplorable in my eyes. Most of us now in this day and age know someone who has either been a victim of domestic abuse, sexual assault, and it's really, really bothersome. And it's like Joe said, I have a very young daughter, and I think about, just the world that she's going to grow up in. And for me, like, the images were bad, like you guys have said. I really wish I could go back and not listen to that audio tape again, because it physically made me sick.
Yeah.
The closest thing I can attribute this to in this kind of public spotlight, and even though his video was awful, I really think that this Greenwood situation is worse because I know that this isn't the first time that he's done it. Men like this isn't a one-off thing. This is a habitual thing that they do. The closest thing I can attribute this to that I can remember is Ray Rice. The video of him, dragging that woman out of that elevator. Just as far as like literally the only thing I can even say that's remotely close to it. And although there's no video evidence of him doing it, the photos and the audio. And again, I probably would have waited to judge if it was just the photos, because we all know in this day and age that people have done some pretty crazy things to say that they've been a victim. Now, I will always side on the air of the victim, especially until it's proven. But once I heard that audio, there is nothing. There is not a single thing you could say or do or show me that will make me think that Mason Greenwood is innocent, is a good guy, is anything other than the giant piece of shit that he is. And I hope that he gets every single thing coming to him.
And John, we actually warn people to not listen to it because I didn't want to listen to it. And hit the wrong button. It was like, and you got like 4 seconds of it, but it was awful. It's just an awful thing to hear because you could just hear the terror in her voice, number one. And then you hear the other side, the brutality is awful.
The anger, the pure anger.
Utter disregard for another person's feelings. Just
it's no exaggeration. One of the worst things I've ever heard. It's the worst things I've ever heard. And like you say, there'll be an investigation, but he's done rightfully playing the sport. I don't think there's any way a team in good conscience would sign him.
And that's
you can't. Go ahead. You got
it. That's what bothers me about this is what is United waiting for? What do they have to prove legality wise? Is there something that they think in his contract that is going to allow him, if he's terminated and it comes out that, maybe he's not as guilty as what he is? So even if he is, exonerated for whatever reason, you as an organization should be willing to take whatever repercussions come financially from separating yourself from someone that is associated with an act of terror, an act of violence. And like Joe said, the complete and utter lack of respect for another person's life, their feelings, their emotions. Take that risk. To me, take that risk and just fire him.
You terminate his contract and just say, if in the end we have to pay it out completely, which I doubt they'll ever have to, but let's say you have to pay it, it would be worth it to pay him out in full than to deal with him.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And Alex just brought up in the comments, he was arrested early on. I'm assuming that they let him go, and then he was arrested a second time once more evidence came out. So
yeah,
he's been arrested twice for this one incident. So that should tell you all you need to know about his guilt at this point. And it's like Zach said, it's really disappointing that both clubs haven't just cut ties completely and just released both players. And both of them have come out strongly and said, we adamantly do not agree with anything that these players have done. We do not stand for this, blah, blah, blah. But actions,
yes,
1000% speak louder than a statement released on social media or one of your prominent board members coming on TV and saying whatever they want to say.
Your words you guys said, don't mean shit.
Cut ties with both of them, especially just get rid of this. Cut ties. It's over. It's done with. And like you said, we'll deal with the aftermath afterwards. But in both cases, I don't think there's going to be any whatsoever. So it's just.
And even if there is, who cares? I would not want my name being dragged into something like that. I don't want to be associated with that. So damn the repercussions. Separate yourself. And that's the thing that's so mind-boggling to me. Yeah, I get it. This is a business. You're trying to make money. But damn, this is just an awful look for both organizations. And I can't get down with it. No. And that would be, even if that was Chelsea, it would be the exact same thing. So I don't want to think, that there's no bias here. I don't care what organization it is.
Yeah, it's in. They always say there's two. There's two sides. There is no two sides.
Mm-hmm. Not in this situation.
There's no two sides to the story. There's one. And it's an ugly side. So prayers to the young lady. I hope she can get whatever counseling and help and, quite frankly, security for her own well-being because, unfortunately, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but anytime you're talking about a star athlete in a case like this, sometimes it's not the arrest is not the end of it for her. And
I can
Guaranteed.
so
I can
Guaranteed people are
guarantee
gonna
that
do
people
that.
are in her DMs, like threatening her, like blowing up her phone because I'm sure her number gets leaked. Like, and then
Yeah.
she like this is it's despicable. Like, ah,
but we had to talk about it because it was too big a story to not talk about, but it was as ugly as the thing. So Stoppage Time FC is a Facebook group. Scene is the YouTube page. Scene is the Facebook page. Subscribe to everything. Like everything. Notifications on. Follow us. Ron, Joe, Zach. Remember, Blue versus Blue podcast on the YouTube right now. Go check out Zach and Joe talking about all things Chelsea and Man City. Shout out to our man, producer Trav, getting the start this evening. This is Stoppage Time FC, signing out.